Talk about plyometrics. The National Academy of Sports Medicine defines plyometrics as a quick, powerful movement involving a system of reactive exercises and an eccentric contraction followed immediately by an explosive concentric contraction. Most commonly, jump training is associated with plyometrics, but you can also do plyometrics for upper body, such as with explosive push-ups. But today, I'm going to be talking more about jumping type of training. As with all forms of training, when you start doing plyometrics, you should build from the ground up so that your body can adapt to handle the forces from all the jumping. So to begin with, we'll start off with what's known as submaximal plyometrics, aka small jumping. So you're not going to be jumping that high off the ground. There's little things like skipping and hops just to get the body used to producing and absorbing force at a low level, which is also very good for the joints in low quantities because too much of anything is never a good thing. I also like to train this in multiple directions because as athletes, we're never just moving one way. And we also need to train it both single leg and on 2 feet. Next, we want to start working on absorbing higher amounts of force because most injuries do tend to happen on the landing of a jump. So for 2 feet, we can just use a standard depth drop where you to just jump off of a box. And for single leg, I like to use a snap down rather than doing a single leg depth drop because again, you're just putting yourself at risk of injury, whereas we do want to train in a safe environment. Using a snap down allows you to still land on one leg, but with a higher velocity. So you're still experiencing higher forces, just maybe not as much as you would on a depth drop. And for both the single leg and 2 foot variations, you want to make sure that you're controlling that landing. I like to hold it for at least 2 seconds just to show that you have control of your landing. So to begin with, we worked on producing and absorbing force at a low level. Then we've moved on to absorbing force, but at a high level. So now we're gonna work on producing force at a high level. So in the next phase, we can use the most popular plyometric exercise there is in the world, a box jump. In the spirit of still jumping in multiple directions, I like to add a lateral hop before the box jump. So if you have a hurdle, you can use that. But if not, I just put dumbbells on the floor. And for both the single leg and 2 foot variations, you just jump over this object, whether it's a hurdle, dumbbell, whatever it is. You jump over it laterally, aka sideways, and then you jump onto the box. And what that does is just allow you to work on producing force at a low level and then a high level. So when you see people who do like a hop step into a dunk, when they just like jump and then dunk, that's the kind of quality that they're training. So, we can add that into our training too. And for that single leg variation, I would start off by alternating legs. So if you're on the left side, start off on your left foot, then jump over the hurdle onto your right foot, and then jump onto the box with 2 feet. But then to progress that, you could just go with starting on your left foot, jumping over the hurdle, landing on your left foot, and then onto the box. And then you can go start on your left foot, land on your left foot, and then jump onto the box, also landing on your left foot. So you can still progressively overload within this one exercise. Okay, so far we've worked on producing and absorbing force at a low level. Then we worked on absorbing force at a higher level, producing force at a high level, and now we're gonna work on the speed at which we produce and absorb this force. Up until now, everything's been as controlled as possible, holding things at the bottom of the landing and everything, but now we're trying to work on being as reactive and explosive as possible because we are athletes and at the end of the day, we need to perform at 100%. So we need to be able to train ourselves to go at 100%. So what I do when it comes to plyometrics to do this is to actually deload your body weight. That's just one way to do it, and it's my favorite way to do it because it's kind of like a cheat code, and I'll explain why. So here I'm using resistance bands to deload my body weight, and deloading my body weight just means making myself lighter. So I weigh around 100 kilograms, I think that's like 220 pounds, and essentially the resistance bands, when I jump, it will make me feel like I am less than 100 kilograms, less than 220 pounds. And this is because obviously the resistance bands are pulling me up as I jump. Now, the reason why this is helpful is because my nervous system is just tracking how high I'm jumping and how quickly I'm jumping. So because I'm lighter, my muscles are able to contract quicker and produce more force, which makes me jump higher in the air. What that means is my nervous system thinks I can jump like, I don't know, let's say 40 inches. It thinks I have a 40-inch vertical, even though maybe in reality, it's only like 20. And so the more you continue to do this, the more your nervous system, starts to send messages to your brain that, oh, he's got a 40-inch vertical. We need to start making sure his muscles move that quickly all the time because he has a 40-inch vertical. So you might not actually end up getting a 40-inch vertical after doing this, but you might be able to jump a bit higher because you're just tricking your brain into thinking that you already can jump higher. And so you just get yourself one step closer to getting as much bounce as possible. Now, obviously that was the 2-foot variation, but when you look at the single leg variation, similar to when I was talking about doing the landing and absorbing force, I don't necessarily like to do this just on one leg, just because again, you're just exposing yourself to a higher risk of injury by landing on one leg, especially like we said, you're sending messages to your brain that you've got a 40-inch vertical, but you know, if you're a basketball fan, then you've seen D Rose, we've seen what happens when you can jump that high and you're landing intentionally on one leg as well, like not even unintentionally, like in a game situation. You intentionally do it, you just put yourself at risk. So to work on it in a more unilateral way, aka, you know, one side of the body, then I like to use a split stance instead. So what that does is you kind of lean a bit further forward, you shift more of your weight to one side of the body, but you're still able to control that landing. So there are your 4 phases for plyometric training, in my opinion. So you've got producing and absorbing force at a low level, submaximal plyos. Then you've got absorbing force at a higher level, producing force at a higher level, and then both producing and absorbing force at a higher level at a faster speed as well, aka the rate of force production / absorption. If you like this video, then check out the video that's about to come up on screen, which will explain how athletes can train their core, and you might as well subscribe whilst you're at it too. Also, check the description of this video for a free vertical jump workout, which I'll also link up here too, and you'll find that at www.elitesmartathletes.com. But until next time, stay blessed.